have the ability to produce lots and lots and lots of summer and yam. Please look at directions that we have. Please. Thank you, sir. God bless Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, sir. So
Good.
far, so good.
I would be happy if you can send us a letter, the ministry, address a letter to the minister, and list out what you've just said. We'll find a way to reach you and give you support. We definitely appreciate what you do, and we want to thank your community for being interested in agriculture, helping to feed our country, and at least keep us safe from hunger. But send us a letter as quickly as possible. We'll respond.
Good morning, you are on. Your name and where you are calling from, please.
Jude from.
Okay, Jude.
Makudi.
From Makudi. You are on to the Honorable Minister.
Okay, good morning, Honorable Minister.
Good morning.
Okay. My opinion goes that some recently said we move from oil, that is that question of the Nigerian economy, from oil to agriculture. But if you look around, you will discover the price of agricultural chemicals very high as compared to the price of agricultural products. So I want the federal government to place two subsidy on that it has been removed from oil, so that these farmers can have adequate information or reduction of price of agricultural products, so that we can boost our agricultural production here in Nigeria. Another issue I want to raise is part of the farmers' estimate, right? The Fulani people or the headers to know that land in the 80s is not comparable with land in the 21st century, because now the demand for land is very high. Hardly you move with a cattle, you either triple in the household of a farm or on the farmland. So there is need for them to ranch their cattle.
All right, Jude, try and make it brief. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As for the cost of local food items, the factors affecting them are not controlled entirely by the Ministry of Agriculture. One of the major causes, for instance, is transportation. Rural roads are not very good. The local government system in Nigeria has literally collapsed. Local governments can't grade any road or put a culvert or do anything, and my ministry's budget is not big enough to do rural roads in 774 local governments. So when lorry owners go into the bushes, lose their tires, shock absorbers, knock their engines on the way, and they succeed in loading and bringing out these things, they add those prices to the cost of food. We are doing our best. We hope that in the states, all of you can put pressure on your local governments as well to do their own part of the bargain, because 22% of Nigeria's distributable income is shared among 774 local governments. I regret to say, and I'm talking from experience, that 99% of our local governments are not functioning and that the funds don't get to them. So they don't do their part of the bargain, and that makes life very difficult for us at the center. Number two, those countries that ship rice to us have subsidies. We may try subsidies here, we're working out a way, but we don't want the scandal of the petroleum subsidy to come into agriculture, because inquiries and investigations will begin and everybody will be smeared. I will not be part of that. However, I can assure you that with increased production, food will get cheaper. Now, as for herdsmen and cattle, the answer to that is ranching. I used the word colony before and everybody was mad that I was trying to use Fulanis to colonize their territory. It is a name in biology used for animal settlements. We have to stop the cows roaming. We are going back now to revive the grazing reserves, to provide water and food for the cows, and the herdsmen say they will pay. Once we do that, that crisis will be over. I know the trouble that Benue has been in, and Taraba and Adamawa, and we are definitely going to solve that problem. We are about to begin the work. And thank you for your interest.
Good morning, you are on. Good morning. You are on. Your name and where you are calling from?
Yes, this is Ibrahim. I'm calling from Idara.
From Daura, Ibrahim from Daura. You are on to the Honorable Minister.
I want to appreciate the Honorable Minister in the House. It happens because I know him as an elderly man, as a man who is an integrity man. But it's quite unfortunate now. I have 3 questions for you, sir. There's
Go
a
ahead.
popular saying that a hungry man is an angry man. Today, Nigeria is in the dire need of food, hunger everywhere. If you look at the situation we find ourselves in this country right now, it's a situation whereby it's quite pathetic. My first question to you is that, from your state where you come from, which I happened to pay a visit down to that state just of a risk, I discovered that your people are quietly backward, which they call them a food basket, home of basket of those thereabouts. What is your personal relationship to your state right now? Based on my statistic, I know that you are the only minister from that state. Number 2, I happen to be from Otuko down to your side there. The road network is very bad, and it affects the level of agriculture. Sir, as a minister of agriculture, why is the high level of hunger is so much rooted in this country and even the state where you come from, sir? Finally, sir, as an elderly man, which I expected so much, what are the cabal that is in your ministry that is causing this kind of big problem that we are facing today in this regime, worse than other regime that was fighting in this country, Nigeria?
Okay,
As to
thank you,
answer this
Ibrahim.
Only low on it, and I pray that you will be able to give Nigeria a good answer to this question.
Please, whoever is calling in, try and make it as brief as possible so that you can allow other people 1 minute so that other people can call in. Good morning, you are on.
Thank you so much.
Your name and where you are calling from.
Finally answering my call. Good morning, the Honorable Minister.
Good morning.
My name is Fiasin Mutu. I'm calling from Benue State.
Okay, Chianse, you are
Honorable
on.
Minister, sir. Yeah, I'm on. If you don't know, there is an agricultural center lying low in my local government, Bruku. And as the country have diversified to agriculture, I expect that that center should be up and doing for training of people. And with the advent of biotechnology, I think that center should have been working. But what do you see? There's nothing going on there. And you are the minister, and you are from this state. Have you not been informed that that place is lying low? If you have not been informed, Piasimutum is informing you today. I'm not reporting the government, but you should know.
All right, thank you, Chianse.
Yes, sir. I'm on. I think I have a last question for the minister. Your position on this anti-open grazing law have not been clear. What are you going to do about this?
Good morning, you are on. Please, your name, where you are calling from, and please kindly keep it brief.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Honorable Minister. My name is Comrade Master Patrick Okoro Krafo Fausuku. Good morning, Honorable Minister, sir. Cost of Nigerian rice made in Nigeria is between 14 to 15,000 naira. And foreign rice is 16 than 15. I don't know what the government is doing because it bothers me as a Nigerian. Now, the storage facilities, sir, beans, tomatoes, and vegetables, and carrots. Today, Nigerians are preserving beans, as you rightly know, with all this sniper. And it's very, very dangerous. So I don't know how the minister is going to do. So that we will now have production of beans from January to December, non-stop. Such a situation like that, now, there will be nothing like preserving beans with sniper. And that causes a lot of cancerous, which everybody knows very well. And even onions, you are talking about. Onions now, the bag is around 35,000 naira. But from January to February, onions was around 3,000 naira. Now look at the difference. What do we do? Storage facilities are Nigeria major problems. Thank you very much for what you are saying. But the question is storage facilities. What do we do? And we should stop importing the fertilizer. Let us make us Nigeria. Thank you very much. For Patrick Power.
All right, thank you, Patrick.
Can I deal with this for
Please, let's, sir.
Gentleman from Daura, thank you very much for your question. Hunger everywhere, and the roads and the cabal in my ministry. I'm not aware of a cabal in my ministry. If there was a cabal, we wouldn't do any work at all. Hunger everywhere, we must draw a line between availability or lack of food and lack of money. There is no shortage of food in any market. I don't see any Nigerian who says he went to the market, couldn't find food. That's the situation in some other country, unfortunately, like Venezuela, where there's nothing to buy in the shop. There is food, but the economy has been weak. There's no doubt about that. Cash circulation has been low, but what are we doing about it? Agriculture itself is bringing more money into our communities than it did before. This year, 56,000 people went on the Hajj. 90% of them were farmers who went, some with their wives. I was in my old school in Aliede on Sunday. The principal told me that the only parents who pay school fees on opening day are the farmers. That civil servants can't pay because salaries have not been paid to them. So it is not the shortage of food, it's the shortage of cash. I appreciate that Nigerians are going through difficulties. But the reason they are going through difficulties is that we use too much of our money to service the economies of other countries by importing too much. Everything in this country is imported, so we transfer our foreign exchange, devalue our currency, and increase poverty at home. The only way to solve that problem is to begin by dealing seriously with the problem of production at home. Now, what's my personal relationship with my state? My state is my state. I was born there, I'm a citizen of a state. But let me also say this. The federal government does not carry out agricultural initiatives for state governments. We advise. If a state government does not pick up our advice, we have no capacity to bully them. This is a democracy. States are autonomous. The federal government does not dictate to any state. We only advise. Those who are willing to listen to our advice do very well in cooperation with us. Some may not be that willing. Some may have problems. So we don't force states. And there is no way the federal government can be the one doing agriculture in every state. It's not possible. States have their budgets, they have their programs, they have their initiatives. When they start, we follow. And we've tried some things in the state. The Anchor Borrowers Program began when I was here. We tried to register 80,000 farmers in Benue. For some reason, some money was needed for them to pay for their BVN. They said they didn't have it. As a result, the program collapsed. Those who got the money till today haven't paid to the CBN. And I don't own the CBN. Even if I did, I will not dole out cash to people who will not repay back, to pay the money back to the bank. And finally, the cabal you talked about and the roads. Again, the roads are to be done within the states, by states and by local governments. I wish them luck, and I hope that they will try and do something within their states to make life easier. Now, Mr. Chianson, the training center in Buruku is owned by the state government. We're working on cooperating with the states now in trying to revive some of these sectors. They don't belong to the federal government. So I must advise Nigerians as well. When you talk about the federal government, when you complain about Buhari's administration, remember that you have local governments and states who have budgets, who have initiatives of their own. Where they fail, do not blame the federal government. And many are failing. And I've been around long enough to tell you. Many are colossal disasters, unfortunately. So ask your own question from home. What is my state government doing? What's my local government doing? And they have certain things to do. They have their budgets. Check around and see what they do. You talked about hunger, yes. Because we don't direct Kebbi state government or Anambra or Ebonyi. Go there and see what they're doing. Go to Jigawa and see what they're doing. Go to some of the states that have done extremely well in agriculture. It's not the federal government that's forcing them. The federal government supports them when they bring initiatives, and we lend them a hand. Ours is policy direction and policy support. And finally, Mr. Okoro, the price of rice is high. We're working on reducing that price by giving loans to the rice millers to buy paddy at 5%. That in another 2 or 3 weeks will begin to bring down the price of rice. But we will not go into subsidy like we did in petroleum that gave rise to all that racketeering. I will never get involved in that kind of thing as a minister, and the president definitely won't encourage it. And sniper in beans. We are aware of this problem. We've started a major campaign on it. We're teaching farmers that to preserve your beans, you don't need sniper, you need pepper. Just 2 cuttings of pepper in the bag of beans or any grain, sow the bag. There is no way the weevils can go in there. Sniper is dangerous, it is poisonous, and we're going to start a campaign telling our farmers, don't put sniper in your beans. Onions, yes, it's very expensive in the rainy season, cheap in the dry season, but the reason why the prices are going up is because Borno was the biggest producer of onions. And you know what is going on there. We are now thinking of installing cold rooms in marketplaces at temperatures suitable for vegetables, where we can keep onions and tomatoes and perishable items overnight for farmers to come and draw the next day. These are the efforts we make. Once again, I recognize that life is tough, that money is not much in the hands of people, and people are going through stress. But the solution to that problem is hard work, which we're doing as a government. But there's no cabal in my ministry, to my knowledge. If there was one, I assure you I would have dealt with it long ago. I have enough knowledge of this business. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. We have some questions from you, for you from people online and on text messages. One is from Oshun Olua Soin. He said, why are some of the parastatals in your ministry being run by acting DGs? What is responsible for this? And then Funke Ayeni, her question has already been answered about the price of rice. Why is it so high? That's local rice. And then thirdly, another question is issue of ban on some fertilizers. Farmers are saying the ban should only be on NPK 15 and not on other, like the organic fertilizers, etc. And finally, on WhatsApp here again, I have a question from Ismail Ridwan from Osun State. He says, what are the measures being put in place to allow local rice to reach every part of the country? Thank you. Ismail Ridwan from Iwo in Osun State. I think you should respond to this before we go to...
Okay, very quickly, the issue of acting DGs, we've promoted all those that were acting over a long period, but the procedure for confirming their capacity is rather slow. The ministry doesn't have authority to do so. And we forward their names to the president's office and they go through certain checks. But most of those who have been acting in the last 1 month or 2, we've confirmed their appointments. Many were acting for a long time, that is true. With approval from the president, we've confirmed their positions now. And we'll try to avoid that in future so that if somebody is a DG, he's a DG and knows how to do his or her work properly. Okay. Fertilizer ban. I initiated the whole process of banning the NPK 15 because it is not suitable for any crop or any soil in Nigeria. As we sit here in this radio house, if you go 100 meters away from here, the soil there may be different from the soil here if you dig it up. The chemistry of the soil is one amazing thing in nature. Now, there is no way anywhere in the world where you can apply the same quantity of urea, 15%, phosphate, 15%, and what's the third one? 15% of all of them in one location to one crop, believing that you get the yields. Now, when we did that over the years in the past, yields on the farms were very low. So when we came, we began a series of soil tests. And now we find that the average, what we do is 20, 10, 10, 20, 10, 5, sometimes 20, 27, 0, 15, depending on the soil and what we know the soil needs to give the best yields. And yields have gone up. Rice is more than up from 2 tons a hectare, in some cases to 7. But people continue importing 15. And we say, How can you be bringing in something that's no good? You just hear that somebody ordered fertilizer, $600 million, 15. We know it doesn't work. And somebody is bringing that in. Any farmer you give that to will not get the right yield. And farmers have testified to the fact that new blends of fertilizers, which are being done here, creating jobs, are giving better yields on the farms. So we said no more 15. However, where there are special additions to be made, like boron, we'll add them. And finally, I think that's about it.
That's about it for now,
Yes,
sir.
thank you.
So let's go on a short break. When we come back, we'll be taking more calls.
Radio Nigeria, uplifting the people and uniting the nation.
Nigerians, our fearless officers and men of the Nigerian military are winning the war against Boko Haram.
Today, all occupied territories have been recovered and Boko Haram has been degraded. Our affected brothers and sisters are getting their lives back.
They are now after you and me.
In our mosques, churches, schools, motor parks, markets, entertainment centers, and public gatherings.
Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me. Nigeria unite against terrorism.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Radio Nigeria, uplifting the people and uniting the nation.
Welcome back to Have Your Say. I am still in the studio with the Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Chief Audu Ogbe. Before we open the phone lines, you were talking about the ban on NPK 1515. But some of the things that have been raised is that the only one that is banned? And if not, which other one is banned and why?
We have clearly said no 15. But there are ingredients we must import, like boron. Okay. We are planning to relaunch cocoa and palm production. Okay. You need boron to revive even the old trees. Those singular elements will come in. We do bring in some potassium from the Soviet Union. Those are inputs into fertilizer blending. But there are 27 blending plants here. So where there are specific needs and we get requests, we'll approve them. But not wholesale production of NPK 15.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much for clearing that air. And finally, no, it's fine. Finally, the last question before we went online was that, went offline, was what are you doing as efforts to ensure that local rice permits to the entire Nigeria so that everybody can have it?
First of all, there is the question again of transportation. Where heavy production of rice is going on, I'm aware that trucks are coming in daily to move rice down. In some parts of the country, there is still preference for foreign rice. And people would rather buy Thai rice or Vietnamese rice than Nigerian rice. We can't force them. But we're planning now to start rice fairs in different states, beginning in Lagos, Abuja, Kano, and so on. The fact is that local rice is spreading. People are beginning to discover that some of the foreign stuff is not too good, and there are some fakes. So we will do more publicity, ask the distributors to work harder. The federal government doesn't distribute. We will support distributors and help them with lower credit so they can move their rice to different locations. It is true that in some places they can't find the rice yet, not enough. And so we have to do more to do that.
And I think you should encourage states in terms of, let's look at what Lagos is doing with Kebbi. Yeah. I think there should be more partnerships like that, which means states that are not producing can liaise and partner with those that produce so that they can together ensure that rice gets to their people.
This is precisely what I said earlier about the sharing of responsibilities. There is a lot of focus on the federal government. Exactly. What is the federal government doing? The state governor is the landlord of his community, his state. And he knows the well-being of his people should be his priority. Where he can make arrangements to bring these things in and make them available to his people, he doesn't have to wait on the federal government to do so. But we will try and encourage some of them to go into alliances with those who produce, so they can also help their people have access to these commodities.
Thank you very much, sir. Now we will open the phone lines, but please, if you're calling, you have 1 minute, and like I said, make your questions short, and so that the minister can not only respond, other people can also have opportunity to call. You are on. Good morning. Your name and where you are calling from.
I'm calling from Abuja. So quickly, let me greet your minister for a wonderful and indefatigable job. But I want to quickly ask him, thinking not to speak about the issue of cabal. See, the cabal.
This cabal issue. Good morning. You are on. Your name and where you are calling from.
Yes, I'm Sunday Michael, calling from Codependent State.
Michael from
Yes,
Makodi.
my question, I've been hearing about security. So, as a Minister of Agriculture, what are the measures that the federal government to ensure that food...
Can you repeat that? What are what?
They are the fact that this may have been seriously attacking us. Yes, there are things that you discover
Please,
that...
I think you'll have to call back, Michael. Your line is pretty bad. Good morning. Please, your name and where you are calling from.
Good morning this morning.
Good morning this morning.
Good morning, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Minister.
Thank you.
This is my name is Emily Bag. I'm calling from Maraba, Sarawak. I want to come ask the Minister what preaching to most of the civil servants. They should have a big, whereby most of them should go into farming. But after retirement, they will go into the farm. I want to ask the Honorable Minister, do you also farm? If you do farm, how do you get the fertilizer used? So most of people are farming this area. They complain that the government do have a subsidized fertilizer and they can't have access to it. So how can some of the how we direct to go and get the fertilizer so that we have farming they will gain in their farming? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Divine. Ibrahim, you are on. Your name and where you're calling from, please.
Yes, you just called me. Thank you, Ibrahim. I'm calling from that. I'm still going to persist, Minister, sir. I'm so very, because when I visited to your state, I wept inside the car. The truth of the matter is that what have you attracted from the federal level down to your state as a minister from that state?
All right, thank you, Ibrahim. He will answer you. Good morning. Your name and where you're calling from, please. Please, raise your voice a little.
Yes, I want to shift honorable minister that is in. And there is a question I want to ask. One in the government. The excess strike. Now, actually, this morning, the daily pass, segment 2 is going to fight. The health workers too, right? I don't know. So let's advise.
Sorry, I didn't get your name. You might have to call us back as the line is pretty bad. Okay, once again, you can reach us on 0807 622 6771, or you can send us messages or WhatsApp on 0902 808 0222. Good morning. You are on to have your say. Your name and where you are calling from.
Hello.
Good morning. Your name and where you are calling from. Oh, the network has started. Your name, please. Where you are calling from. Good morning. Your name and where you are calling from.
Mohammed from Bauchi.
All right, Mohammed from Bauchi. Please go ahead with your question. Mohammed. Hello? Oh, so sad. Good morning. Your name and where you are calling from. Hello, good morning. You are on to have your say. Okay, I think you can respond to the few that we have for now.
All right, the gentleman from Mararaba, you asked if I farm. Yes, I do. I farm. And one day, if you're free, you can visit my farm in Kuje here, or follow me to my village and see my cashew plantation, and see my fish farms. I do farm, and I've been in it for a while. Number two, you asked how people can access fertilizer. We produce fertilizer here now, we blend, and we're going to name distributors in every local government, 3 per local government, from early next year, so whatever you want, you can access. And you can be sure that what they are selling to you is genuine. They will also be handling chemicals which we approve. 3, you talked about civil servants. That's a brilliant idea you have. Not too long ago, the Chinese government actually laid off many civil servants. They didn't throw them out. They called them and said to them, here is a machine, you want to do rice milling or tomato paste, or you want to do milk production, what do you want? They gave them money, gave them their pensions, and they went. So it's an idea, but already many civil servants are actually in agriculture. Not many enough, but I think it's something that we must encourage so that those who retire don't have to go and wait for pensions and suffer. It's a program that we're already designing, even in the military. We are working with the military for their military ranches, one near the airport, one in Kefi, and some in Kachia. So we have operations of that kind, even the prisons. This coming season, we're going to begin work with the prisons on agriculture. So thank you for that idea, and I think it's a good thing for us to do. But you will have a fertilizer agent in Mararaba before the end of this season. Now, Ibrahim, you asked what am I doing in my state? If you go to Benue, you'll find there is an international agency working with us called IFAD, the International Fund for Agricultural Development. Benue is one of their most active regions. And there are 2 rice mills, one in Aliede, one in Otupo, which they built. They support farmers with chemicals, with credit. So I am doing something in my state. But the point is I am not minister for Benue alone. I'm minister for the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I haven't forgotten my state, but we also do things in virtually every state of the country. And finally, somebody asks about how to distribute rice. Yes, we'll make sure that distributors begin to spread their activities nationwide. Transportation is an issue, but that is something that we have to help the private sector overcome as we improve on the roads. I was with Fashola in my state just on Monday. It was to visit bad roads in the state. So we are not indifferent to the plight of my state, Ibrahim, but thank you for reminding me. I appreciate your concern. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much. As we round off, let us quickly inform our listeners that you should tune in for the live coverage of the council meeting, the trial program, as from 11 o'clock, which comes up today, Thursday, December 13, at the Umaru Yaradua Murtala Mohammed Square in Kaduna. Kindly tune in. We advise all radio stations in Nigeria to tune in. All FRCN, zonal, and FM stations should kindly stay hooked on to the network service of the Radio Nigeria. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for coming in. I'm sure Nigerians have been educated, especially on areas they are not aware of. I, for instance, didn't know you have a plan for bringing the credit down to 5% for farmers. So we really appreciate that. And thank you, for our listeners, for tuning in. We urge you to tune in again next week for Have Your Say. This morning, I have been assisted in the studio by my studio manager, Prince Uguenze Afone, associate producers, Dan Ede, Zacchaeus Babalola, Olayemi Dania, Conrad Labe, Joseph Agi. My producer, the energetic Olaido Mbiwe. The live streaming has come to you through Tokumbo Alaron. Thank you very much. And camera operators have been Kevin Okeke and Ewelike Kalistus. My engineer has been Hassan Usman, while the ICT handlers has been Benson Adeola, Timothy Bamidele, Choka Israel, and my executive producer, thank you, Sani Suleiman. And many thanks also to the Director General of the FRC and Dr. Mansour Liman, as well as the acting DG, Pastor Oluwole. We thank you for tuning in to Have Your Say. Kindly tune in again next Thursday from 10 a.m. My name remains Ayo Oyalowo, your studio anchor for Have Your Say.